Hello, everyone. My name is Raquel Beauvais-Godard. I'm the program manager program director, at CMHA Champlain East. And our project was around reducing wait time, specifically um, for the intensive case management program, and specifically in Cornwall. We have many sites, but it was that one in particular that we were struggling with. So next, please. So our problem versus aim. Our problem statement was, um, I don't know if I should be reading through everything, but at the onset of the project, the median wait time for the clients in Cornwall, from the time of intake to the time of assignment, was 12 months. The branch experienced an increase in wait time over the past 2 years, and before that, it did not exceed 12 weeks. So long wait times were prolonging periods of serious and persistent mental illness for clients, leading to overall higher complexity of levels for staff when they did begin service. So solicited client experience revealed that our U-Matter program, which we started, was likened to a lifeline while waiting to access case management. Our aim statement was the wait time for clients to be assigned to intensive case management program will not exceed 3 months by March 30th, 2019. Next slide, please. We did a Wordle. When we had done our fishbone survey, a lot of the comments that we got back were mostly around frustration, but also some of the clients indicated that, the U-Matter program that I'll talk about in a moment was a lifeline to them. It provided hope. It was a creative way to addressing their concerns. But mainly, this wait list led to much frustration, high levels of stress. So we wanted to put that together to give an indication as to what the feelings were. Next, please. So we did, like everyone else, we gathered our evidence and this Pareto chart indicates the
Sorry, Raquel, we lost you there for a second. I don't know if you mind starting at the beginning of this slide again? Cut out the audio.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Like most agencies, we had to do run charts and balancing measures. So this particular slide is about the causes. So when we did our fishbone, we were able to identify some of the main root causes of why we were having a wait list. And so if you look on the bottom left quadrant, we elected to go with item A and C. So we didn't pick them all, of course. So we went with those that we felt in the short period of time we had for this to get some to benefit for the clients. We selected two areas, which you'll see on the left of the Pareto chart. There's we pulled up some of the root causes, and those that are highlighted in red are those that we went ahead and really focused in on. So not having full staff team due to absences and vacant positions. It took us a very long time to fill these, so naturally there was a big gap in our ability to serve. And also, item C was around process. So increased clerical time was needed for our intensive case managers, so they could complete all the required documentations. And the more time that they were doing that, the less time that they could actually have, direct time with clients. So we really looked at our process. So next page. So this is just a picture to demonstrate the activity that we did for the fishbone. And so we wanted to identify the determining factors that were increasing our wait list. And we identified 28 factors, and we grouped them into themes. We then did a survey, and we conducted that survey with not just our staff, but also with the clients who are participating in our U-Matter program. The U-Matter program is, it started off as a pilot project in October, and we've since adopted it as a program. And essentially, it's a service for folks who are in waiting. So rather than just wait for a year and expect a call, 6 to 12 months later, we were doing call outs and inviting individuals into our peer resource centers and providing one time per week, one-on-one with an intensive case manager to try and reduce any elevated risks and do the necessary linkages in the community if any were to be made, and just really provide something for folks while they were waiting. A lot of the groups were offered that are provided by our agency, and so that was very much that really helped us reduce not only the wait list but the elevated anxiety and stress that was felt by those who were waiting. So next, please. So these were our root causes. We went through, I don't know if I can open up the, do you have access to the notes that go with this page?
No, I don't on my end. Sorry, Raquel.
Okay. So,
just the slides.
So if I look at process and staff, what we did is we identified for each of these root causes, there were a number of contributing factors. So in my notes that I don't have in front of me, they were all listed. And for process, it was really around going over the intake process and ensuring that there's consistency around the rotation of frontline workers that we have doing this, so that it was streamlined and we wanted to be as efficient and effective as possible. So we went through that exercise. And for process, for staffing, we were able to eventually have full complement, and that made a world of difference, of course. Next page. So our driver diagram. Our aim here was to reduce our pending assignment to intensive case management list from 12 months down to 3. I know it's very lofty, but I'll just cut to the chase. We were successful in doing that. So our primary drivers were process and resources. The secondary drivers were under process. We had increased clerical time needed for ICMs to complete the required documents, and that delayed assignment for cases that were waiting. The change idea behind that primary driver was to speak with staff as to how to deal with increasing wait lists. And we really wanted to co-design this with our staff and have their input. And we not only spoke with staff, but we spoke to clients as well, solicited their feedback. And the process measures that we used for that was PDSAs and run charts. For resources, the secondary driver was not having full staff team due to absences, etc. And our change idea around that was obvious. It was to increase our human capital, but we did struggle finding individuals in this area. We were very specific about the qualifications we were looking for, and we struggled for a little while. The process measure that we utilized was PDSA. So the outcome measures for these two primary drivers was for process, we piloted the U-Matter group. It started off every second Monday at one of our 3 resource centers, the one that's in Cornwall. And this is a peer resource center is where individuals can gather who are experiencing significant, serious or persistent mental illness to reduce social isolation. So it was piloted and eventually adopted, and subsequently this increased the frequency to weekly, so now we're running this weekly. And we address issues like housing, court support. We want to maintain visibility to our clients in the community. The process allowed additional triage and service matching, which decreased the wait time to 3 months by March. The resources, the outcome measure for resources was a recruitment and retention plan. So we wanted to engage ICMs in activities to maintain full complement. For example, team building, wellness opportunities. So now we have a wellness room for our staff where they can go and take a break and based on their needs, we canvassed their feedback as well. We promote work-life balance, regular clinical supervision, much staff development, and given that 60 new clients were able to be assigned to the two new intensive case managers that we hired, the wait list decreased substantially. Next slide, please. So the first PDSA rapid cycle that we did was on increasing human capital. So the plan was to increase human capital, of course, and the do was to carry out the test and document what happened. So we hired and trained new intensive case managers, and we had them shadow those who were already seasoned workers so that we could, help progress that training a little more quickly. Study, we collected and analyzed the data. We assessed workload and stability and equity. So we have a formula in place to measure direct time and indirect time so that we can ensure that nobody's burning out and every client is seen, and that there's equity across not just for staff case workload, but also for the services received by individual clients. And then ACT, well, what changes need to be made? Engaging in activities to maintain full complement, team building, wellness opportunities, supervision training. So that was our first PDSA. The next slide. The second was around reducing clerical time for ICMs through the UMATR program. So the plan was to speak with staff as to how to deal with the increasing wait list and solutions to support the clients on the wait list, and really hear from them. They hear and speak to the people on their caseloads, and so they would have a lot of very rich information to share, so we could co-design this together. The do was develop a group, and we called it UMATR, and that was the title came from our staff who determined that that would be a respectful and generic type of title that everybody could feel that they can relate to. And we designed a spreadsheet to track the progress in our wait times, and from there we had data that we could utilize for our run charts. The study was to analyze schedule and activity levels at the resource center to determine optimal time for the seamless transition from intake to resource center for UMATR. So we wanted to ensure that that was a nice smooth flow, that from the time that they would call, that they were able to enter the UMATR program immediately if it's intensive case management that they were looking for. And for ACT, we piloted the UMATR group every second Monday, and it became a weekly program based on client demands. And now even though they're not receiving one-on-one intensive case management like others who have been able to be triaged through that program, we're still addressing housing needs in the community, court support needs, and a place for people to come while they're waiting once a week on a scheduled time where they can talk about things that are most pressing and important for them. Next slide, please. So our monthly average wait times, as you can see, in April of 18, people were waiting 250 days, and we were able to bring it down in January to a significantly lower amount. And we don't have any data for the February and March 2019. We didn't, because we're not, those folks aren't, that's the wait time. Those folks from February and March are still waiting. So they're still under 3 months, but they're waiting right now. And those from January are now being serviced. So just to indicate here that we had a nice decrease that's visible in our average wait times. And sometimes, there's a dip because we were able to hire somebody, and then the wait list went up because of holidays and people going off on leaves and some of those things that are out of our control, really. But it followed the it followed nicely towards a steady decrease in wait time. Next slide, please. So the lessons learned. We had some challenges. We had difficulty in pulling reports from our database that were reflective of specific data that we wanted to analyze because when we identified E-QIP as a program, that meant that from the time of intake, we couldn't have a straight line from intake to intensive case management. It went from intake to E-QIP to intensive case management as a UDF. And so it made things a little more complicated for us, but we're certainly learning as we go. We had competing demands and limited resources that were interfering with our frequency and participation on the committee activities. And we learned that you really need to capitalize on your coaches' in-person availability and have more frequent communication. So we could have done a better job at that, but we did. I think we did fairly well given the lack of resources that we had. Next slide, please. We had some aha moments, the importance and value of developing a client and family advisory committee from which we could draw upon for future projects. And so we're already in the works and have identified some individuals, some clients who are very interested, so we will be formalizing that shortly. There are many factors impacting on the wait list, and we chose to address the main root causes, but we can go back now that we've done the fishbone, and we noticed that through this exercise, there could be 30 factors, but you have to really focus in on those you believe will be the most impactful. And so that helped clarify for us and really narrow down. So that was a great exercise for us to learn. And quality improvement takes time, so not to rush through the projects. And it's okay if you don't meet a deadline, you're still making progress. Factors enabling the project and progress and pace. Being methodical and aware of a plan and not jumping to the first solution that comes to mind. We tend to do that because we're very solution focused, but it's not thoughtful and methodical if you're being so impulsive. So rather analyze first and drill down to maintain your focus. And that's what led us to positive outcomes, we believe. Next slide, please. What would you do differently next time? We'd set structured meetings on a weekly basis. We were a little sporadic, just trying to get meetings around when we had the most availability for everyone. And so one thing that worked for us better is to meet more frequently for a shorter amount of time than blocking a half day to go through everything, and it was too difficult that way. So we learned to meet much more frequently, weekly even, but for brief amounts of time. And maintaining closer communications with coaches is key. Impact on your organization beyond the project. So how to be more mindful and methodical. So thank you very much, coaches, for all your tools. Foundation to QI training, we provided that to all our staff across all the departments so that everyone would speak the same language. It doesn't belong to one or two people on the side of their desk. We really want it to be part of our culture. And I think ongoing QI and data coach support is essential, so hopefully we'll be able to continue that. And I guess, Michael, you'll be receiving some calls from us in the future. And next page, if there's any. Okay. So that's it from us.
Thanks so much, Raquel. A fantastic project. And really, I can say from having visited your branch only a couple of weeks ago, such an engaged group, I think, around quality improvement. And it's nice to see the agency really taking this on. So, and I think that's a lot to do with your leadership. So thanks for presenting back. We'll give folks a second. If you have any questions for Raquel and the team there, please enter them into the question box and we can ask. Also appreciated here, and we got kind of looks around the E-QIP room when you mentioned not to rush the process. I feel like we're always telling people, don't rush the QI process, take time. So appreciated you mentioning that. One question I did want to ask, if you could, and I'll just maybe pull back to the slide, is the data slide here for the wait times. And so I was wondering, where was it that you introduced the change idea, the You Matter group? When was that
in
introduced?
October 2018.
Great, great. Is there any questions from folks on the line?